I had a question in the DMs last week that I wanted to address on compensation strategies. Someone was asking, what are compensation strategies? And, are they coming from some kind of common problem? So, compensation strategies are ways that we try to survive and protect ourselves. There's a variety of different ways that we do this. The most common compensation strategies that I typically hear about is people pleasing. That's probably one of the most common ones, is people trying to accommodate others. And so if we're using that, why are we using that strategy? Well, if we're trying to accommodate others, we're trying to protect ourselves possibly from being judged, from being unlikable, from being rejected, because we don't feel that if we just show up as we are, that it's going to be good enough. Or we're scared that if that person doesn't like us, that somehow it's going to be a reflection on our value as a person. So inevitably, what do? We compensate. Of course we would compensate because we're scared. Because we were ourselves as a little kid, all playful and open to life and free and excited. And then all of a sudden we tried something in grade school and we got embarrassed. And maybe someone didn't like us. And then we second guessed that next action. And we tried to work our way around that rejection by compensating. Now, the challenge with compensation strategies is they work pretty well. They're actually super effective. In my coaching program, we call them fool's gold. Because your compensation strategy is like that thing, could be people pleasing, could be being a type A controlling, could be being a super busy person, could be making a joke of everything, being the comedian. The challenge with those compensation strategies is they actually do a pretty good job of getting you through life. Getting you to be liked, maybe even getting you a promotion, maybe getting you dates, whatever have it be. But the challenge is every time we use our compensation strategy, we're subconsciously reminded of what we aren't, which is feeling not good enough, feeling like I need to put on some sort of show to be worth it, to be likable. And so it's all rooting from basically the same thing, which is a level of insecurity somewhere and typically connected to a limiting belief that we have about ourselves. And so my compensation strategy is being the busy person. So if you were to, call me out, or if I was risking being embarrassed for you, I'd be like, don't you know what I'm going through? I have so much. I'm taking on all these things. Look at, I'm doing lives for people and I'm showing up online all the time and I'm doing all this stuff. Like, get off my back. And what I'm really scared to admit in those moments is, yeah, that one's on me. I'm scared. Maybe I'm avoiding an action. Maybe I'm embarrassed. I'm not going to do it perfectly. So I'm going to demonstrate how I'm this busy, working my ass off person so I can avoid being responsible for that thing that I'm scared to admit to. So those are some details on compensation strategies. But I wanted to just share that because it was a question in the DMs, and you guys are always welcome to ask me any questions in the DMs, and do some Q&A because I've just been having fun with that lately. So anybody has any questions about relationships, I'll be available right now for the next 5 minutes before my next coaching call. Who's got relationship questions? Fire it off in the chat. What questions you got about relationships? I was ghosted after 2 dates with a new guy. Why do men do this? Well, as you might have noticed in my content, I don't do any gender specific content because men and women do a lot of the similar things. This is not just men that do that. Women also ghost. Why did that person do that? Well, I would change the question. I changed the question here to what is it that I want? And is this a match for that? Because although I get you probably feeling frustrated that you were ghosted and you'd like that to be going other way, it's also a benefit that this person has exited your life. Doesn't sound like you're missing out, but it's hard to see that because it feels like a personal thing when someone ghosts you. So question I might ask instead is that person a match for what I'm looking for? Might give you some freedom there. Let me scroll. If you're curious about coaching, just saw someone on my guide who need coaching with you, just apply for a call in my link in my bio. You'll speak with a member of my team and they go through all the services that we offer. Feel like I missed some good content. Thanks. Well, I'll post this and you can watch the beginning again. Too much to talk about here, always. Yeah, I'm going to do more and more lives because I think it's fun to answer these questions. And I think a lot of people are asking questions that many others also have. I'm anxious and my ex is avoidant. She says she needs space to find herself. Should I move on, offer her the time, and revisit this on a later date? I would invite some specifics. You know, people need space sometimes, and that's okay. It's not right or wrong. It's just what's there for that person. So I would ask, what would that space look like for you? When would you like to revisit this conversation? And then based off her response, you get to decide whether that's workable or not for you. If she says, come back to me in a year, and you're like, yeah, I'm not going to wait that long, then there you go. You got some clear information to work with. The challenge with some space is it's hard to know what that person might mean by that. And so I would invite some clarification as to what kind of space they're looking for. Just broke it off with a girl, blamed it on work, and when everything was going so well. Okay, not sure if that was a question, but I guess you're dealing with that. And you blamed it on work when everything was going so. Okay, so it sounds like you're recognizing there's some avoidance there. You're recognizing that you may have left that person out of maybe some sort of fear and then use work as the reason, but it sounds like that wasn't the real reason. I'm hearing some self-awareness there, and keep looking at what was the fear thing that maybe you're avoiding there. How do avoidant people get to develop a relationship, even if it's a friendship? It's hard, even if I'm working myself to be more secure. I love that question. It is not easy. Okay, it's a big deal. I have a lot of compassion for the avoidant attachment style because everything in the instincts of someone who is deactivated, which is what happens when you're avoidant, you're deactivated, you want to separate. Everything in their gut is saying, this is dangerous. I got to get out of here. And it's like a reflex. It's not like a conscious choice, like I want to leave you. It's like, oh my God, I can't handle this experience. So I need to separate myself because it's the only way I feel safe. And so how do we develop those friendships and relationships if we are of the avoidant attachment style? Well, I would suggest that choose the simplest actions you can take to stay in the conversation. So I've worked with a number of avoidant people in my program, and I offer kind of different phrases to use when you want to run. So you're going to feel a trigger in your body. You probably actually feel like heat, tenseness, whatever, the next time you want to deactivate. When that happens, don't feel like you got to do anything amazing in that moment. Instead, what would be really fantastic is to simply acknowledge it with the other person. And so how you're going to get better and better at staying in the conversation when you want to run is to literally say, I'm struggling with this, and typically I would run right now because I'm not sure what to say. Just that. Just saying what's there. You don't have to fix anything. Just literally being like, I know that I have a pattern of wanting to escape, and I'm practicing not doing that right now. So for me, just to say this to you right now is a win. Awesome. Just being able to acknowledge what's there, and that will build. You will build on that. And I've seen so many of my clients build on that in such a beautiful way that now they can go from avoiding to communicating their feelings and what they're afraid of, and the person actually being able to hear it. Like, so beautiful. Oh, I just saw there's a little question thing there. Oh, cool. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. Cheating - man has been dating female for, that sounds almost like a police report. Male has been dating female for 6 months and is cheating on this female with soon-to-be ex-wife. I don't see a question there, but thank you so much for sharing. I get that's very challenging. What does cheating in marriage or relationship say about you? I think if you noticed in my content, I don't really make generalizing statements about anybody or any situation. I think that's really dangerous. So I think people have many different reasons for cheating, and it's a complex issue. And I think it's probably a much more common issue than we think, because not exactly very many people are willing to go, hey, I've cheated. It's not exactly something you want to share. So I think the statistics on that are quite probably inaccurate. But what does it say? I mean, it's complicated. We live in a world right now where you can scroll and look at extraordinarily beautiful people who probably don't actually even look like that because of lighting and camera angles and filters. And it's easy to assume the grass is greener on the other side. And so I think a lot of people go that way. And this is where commitment and loyalty are so valuable and beautiful, because we're faced probably with more temptation than we've ever been. So it's complicated, but I think that it's a matter of communication, commitment, clear expectations. I don't know. There's more depth to get into that. I've got a coaching call in 3 minutes, so I'm just going to do one more question, and then we'll hop off there. Girl I'm talking to right now is dry in texting. She takes a week or a few days to respond. I work with her some other days. Should I leave her alone and move on? Yeah, so I've been in that situation before, and where you want to look is, it sounds like you want her to be more engaged. So if you keep taking the lead every time, she doesn't really have a reason to be more engaged. Okay, it's kind of like if you always offer to do something, but you're waiting for the other person to do something, it's like, well, maybe they're about to, but you keep leading the way. And so I would give that space and see if they engage back with you. And if they don't, well, then maybe ask the straight up question, are you interested? Should we leave it here? And then you can choose whether to spend any more time on that. That would be my suggestion. Okay, maybe one more. Another short one. I've worked really hard on myself during the pandemic. Awesome, good for you. Noticing the men I meet don't have the same level of work on themselves. Is it my duty to support and walk away on a guy I like to grow? Yeah, so here's the thing. No matter who you meet, there's going to be some area of their life where you're more personally developed than they are, and vice versa. There's going to be something that person has some more personal development than you do. And so we don't want to look at it like I'm trying to find this perfect match of like, you've done as much work as I have. I had that fear with my wife years ago that I'm this coach. Okay, I spent over $100,000 on my personal development over the last 11 years. And it's like, okay, I could compare that to people and think that means I know more, but it's operating from a myth of just because you've done some work in an area, it means you're somehow above somebody else. And so I just don't believe that's the case. And so I would really just invite you to get curious. Doesn't mean you got to go for those people. Like, I encourage you and everyone to go with people who are willing to work on themselves. But get curious. Get curious that maybe there's something that person has to offer, or consider kind of an openness to the possibility that there is something to gain for both of you in that relationship. So I'll leave you guys there. Got to hop on my coaching call. Thank you so much for joining. I'll be doing more of these later. Bye.